We did okay. We did all right. Please join me in our congregational covenant, printed here in our bulletin. You ready? In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of oppressed minorities and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine, all that is. It was a tradition to have the offertory after the sermon, but then you invited me to come here and they thought that's a bad idea. So we're gonna have our offertory. But before we do, just to set up the theme of the service, I have a little lighthearted idea that we're gonna do the act of meditation, but we're gonna encourage it with the spirit of Buddhism as if it were taught by an over-controlling mother. So here we go. Let your mind be as a floating cloud. Let your stillness be as the wooded glen. And sit up straight. You'll never meet the Buddha with a posture like that. There's no escaping karma, the overprotective mother says. In a previous life, you never called, you never wrote, you never visited, and whose fault was that? To practice Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, do the following. Get rid of the motorcycle. What were you thinking? The Buddha taught that one should practice loving kindness to all sentient beings still. Would it kill you to find a nice sentient being who happens to want some children? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Forget to do this and attaining enlightenment will be the least of your troubles. Give generously for the life and work of this church. Our reading is from M.S. Burrow. I invite you to just sort of linger in this beautiful building. Just look around and listen. When is the moon only a distant satellite and the ocean nothing but an echoing immensity, inert and emptied of delight. And when are the deep and the wide heavens are no longer filled with storied images, but simply patterns of ancient light moving as dwindling energy? Are these but things of matter without vital form, mere objects like this building that cause us to calculate but not sing? We can taste each holy fragment of this world through clumsy instruments of speech and reach by the wisdom of our flesh an echo of descending grace. But to taste it, we must listen with patient and singular hearts, like a hungry wolf waiting for its prey. The birds offer no reason why they greet each rising dawn with a song, no reason. Nor do we require an argument to wrap ourselves in the wonder of the day and to fall into the wild hilarity of grass. The ancient sage reminds us that simplicity is also radiance, an unbounding of our vision, and the first steps towards our final sanctity. When I was a kid, I was a football player. Not too bad either, except that I was too pleasant. And I was disheartened that my competition for the quarterback position when we got to high school was a 6'4" candidate who got a full scholarship to go play at BC. He was from the other junior high. But let's be clear, just because I wasn't as big as the kid from the other junior high doesn't mean I also wasn't slower and less athletic. From about the time I was a junior playing football, the coach, realizing that I was actually of pretty good spirits in my fate, began mocking me by running next to me and screaming, "Wilson, January, February, March," because I was so slow. Ha, 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 Coach Ty, super funny. But I got the last laugh. See, a friend of mine and I, neither of us realizing we were going to be stars, reclaimed our power by corrupting the sophomores and the freshmen behind us under the banner of what we called the Less is Best Club. In our new worldview, we realized that less practice, even less playing time, was transformed from an ego-threatening act into the very goal of being on the football team. Scott Fisher and I, still a very dear friend of mine, and I would stand there next to the comforts of water and the people who would not hit you, and began corrupting the sophomores with earnestly felt statements like, "You can get hurt out there." Looking back, I'd like to think of this sermon as a more enlightened form of embracing the person who moves slowly. First exercise, we're gonna stop for a minute and just sit still with no particular goal. Just let your mind do what it will for about 40, 45 seconds. Go ahead. Just be you, no filter. Just be you. Think whatever thoughts come your mind. They might go something like this. I have no idea what I'm doing. Boy, these seats are uncomfortable. Don't forget to get eggs on the way home. Something else. I'm getting fat. Something else. Why couldn't I have joined a normal church? Dull, pointless pause. Got to do something else. This, as we've heard, is your monkey mind. If we need another piece of evidence that life is completely absurd, it's the odd truth that doing nothing is about the hardest thing one can do. And in the premise of Buddhism, in general, it's that we've forgotten that thinking is a tool. And in doing so, have allowed our minds to become much more of a shepherd of our bodies than our servants, right? We're all a little bit guilty of that. To the Buddhist, thinking, when unchecked, has this propensity to become a bit of a disease, a virus that gets us out of balance, right? That's the great diagnosis. And we all know this truthfully when we can't sleep. It's probably the most poignant way we manage this when we find ourselves wrestling with a problem that doesn't have an easy answer. And those images that can come to us can be destructive and unhelpful for our well-being. That's the clearest example of it. In general, as we probably all know, Buddhism notes that our minds and egos conspire to use us way too much. They have their own agendas, just kind of like our libidos do. I presently think that the way our minds and bodies can lead us astray from our overall well-being is a better angle on the kind of trouble we as humans face than the idea of the concept of original sin is, but they are sort of a similar frame. I want everyone who can to stand up, if you're capable, stand up, shake a little bit, and then with some level of dignity and sobriety, sit down kind of intentionally. After you've stretched and liberated yourself, sit down, keep your hands off your lap. Try not to completely close your eyes, but sit still, ground your feet. When you're settled in, begin to draw deep but not forced breaths in through your nose. Chart the path that follows down into your lungs. Feel it fill them, and then witness as that cycle repeats itself on the way out of your mouth. Let's take some deep, slow, conscious breaths. At your own steady, slow pace, breathing in and out. Think of it as a circle. Feel it at the top of your nose and then filling your lungs. As my former coach Ty would say, give me 10. What an awesome birthright to just be able to breathe if you can freely. Some of us can't do that, but they can feel hard. They can feel like free entertainment sometimes. In the Jewish tradition, ruach, or breath, is spirit. I'm sure you've heard some preacher tell you that before. Ruach is feminine. Not a lot of things are feminine in that tradition. And it's what God uses to animate us first. In the Christian tradition, breath took on more spirits, more of a tone of the Holy Spirit. And in the Eastern tradition, breath is the rope that we use to descend deeper inside of ourselves. Paul Tillich, a Christian apologist, told us that God was deep rather than high. I like that. Our breath is not only what animates our life and fuels our cells and such, it also settles us. Probably feel that a little bit, I hope. When you attend to your breathing, you are practicing being mindful with the very simplest thing you can and must do. And our breaths can be used to heal our monkey mind, can take us away from our egotism. I'm not a regular meditator, but I am a regular breather. And it surprises me with the legacy it can leave me with in just a few moments. I want you to exercise a different nature. I want you to get really angry. I want you to drop some of that inner hate that doesn't live too far from the surface usually. Think about double Parkers, the kids who picked on you in school. The fact that Donald Trump was Googled infinitely more often yesterday than was Thich Nhat Hanh, Jane Goodall, or Bill Moyers combined all last year. Think about how ridiculous that is and infuriating. Make a fist and furrow your brow to cultivate your anger. Do it. Nurture that power. Your anger is a resource. Hold on to that fury, that righteous, powerful space. Now slowly deepen your breath. Open your hands. Leave them open to the sky. Feel the control you can have over how you feel. Smile. Enjoy this moment. Remind yourself of the power you have over how you feel. It's sometimes said that spirit is the steeple of our religious life and that soul is our basement. I think bringing a mindfulness practice, even as simple as breathing, is like work on your foundation. Having this even simplest of tool will challenge you to accept all the conditions of your life a little better. The depression, the angst, the confusion, and seeing them for the passing weather that they can be. But just as it's said that in this life, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, and they do say that, pain is inevitable, suffering optional. I think it is as a regular practice of meditation is a great practice for allowing yourself to be okay through that journey. Did everybody get a clementine? Or nearly everybody? I want you to grab it. I want you to think about the fact that this has no real beginning and end in a way. It's certainly, you can hold it in your hand. You can see where the skin ends, but it's also sort of a product of the sun and of oxygen and of a tree. It's a good example of dependence and interdependence. You can peel it if you want. Smell it. Try to do so mindfully. Just enjoy it. We probably don't necessarily shouldn't even have fruits from this far away in the winter, but here we are. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when I bite the fruit, I'm aware that there is nothing else in my mouth. Not my sorrow, not my fear. When I chew, I am just chewing, not working on my projects. I chew very carefully. Chew with 100% of yourself, he says. Feel your connection to the sky and the earth and the farmers who grew this. Eating like this, I feel that solidity, freedom, and joy are within my control. When I eat like this, the meal not only nourishes my body, it also feeds my soul, consciousness, and spirit. I never became a football star. I did learn the need for practice, though. Practice, if you look at it right, is cheating. Shortcut to success. Stopping and breathing is cheating to peace. It's not work. It's a shortcut. Eckhart Tolle says in his book, The Power of Now, that every time you create a gap in the stream of your mind, the light of your consciousness grows a little bit stronger. Every time you create a gap in the pace of your mind, your consciousness grows a little stronger. With that in mind, what follows today is a little bit of a primer on mindfulness and a few mental calisthenics to get in shape. Mindfulness is simply the state of being fully present, awake, and alive, non-judgmental and open to the moment. Has a beauty to it, doesn't it? Right? Just being present has its own answer. The premise, or perhaps maybe the diagnosis that drives mindfulness, is that there's a deeper experience available to us than we might generally just have if we just keep living. Meditation is a shortcut to knowing your fuller self quicker. And the odd thing is that when you're in a way away from your normal self, you can feel that truth. In a state some describe as flow, or Tolle's the now, only when you're out of your mind can you really be most in it, in a way. And we can remind ourselves that thinking is our servant, not our shepherd. The beginning of the time when you start to begin to think of yourself as separate from your thoughts entirely, your consciousness can become activated, and all the things that really matter, like beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, have a greater chance of arising. I know you can feel that. We can generally sense that deeper spiritual truth when we feel settled. Sunsets are good examples of this and the magic in the world. So is love. And neither that, nor meditation or mindfulness, nor love or sunsets is actually understandable, really. Thich Nhat Hanh says, if I practice the way I walk and the way I sit, I will be much freer and a much more solid person. It takes experience to know that every time we create a gap, a break in the normal functioning way our mind works, our consciousness grows a little stronger. January, February, March, the coach would yell at me. Now I know slowing down is the way to go. If only I could go back and tell him, Coach, I'm working on gaining enlightenment. Leave me on the bench. Amen. I think we remain seated for this hymn, maybe, I'm not sure. It's number 16, 'Tis a Gift to Be Simple. 16. To be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come where we ought to be. When we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn, will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. It's now time for joys and concerns. Not an excuse for political diatribes. This is a chance to share what's on your heart and mind. I'll pass around the microphone. There'll be a chance for more casual conversation after. Sure, if you want to. Thanks. So, please share.
Good morning. My name's Russ. Please light a candle for an unexpected reflection. While Julia was playing Prelude, I happened to be standing at the back looking out the window towards the front door. And in the plexiglass, I could see a reflection of this paper. And I was trying to tell what it was. And then I recognized it was her sheet music on the piano. I couldn't see her so well, but I could see the sheet music. And it was just this nice, unexpected vision to take in while I was listening to the music.
Hi, Andrew Baker. I just wanted to share a joy with you of Steve kind of called me back to an image that I saw in the water yesterday, looking down over the Deerfield River, speaking of the forming edge of our lives and just looking into the water and watching the ice form in this miraculous phase change of just like swirling amoebas, and it just gave me this incredible sense of how water is life and we are water, and only because water moves in those three phase changes that it does are we here.
Thanks. Sure.
Hi, I'm a stranger here today, but I'm with a relative of Steve's. And I just want to bring to attention that I just learned a couple of days ago that my dear friend and poet partner, Martha Patrice, passed. She and I read poetry together for over 12 years in the city of Chicago, mostly at the public library system, but also at the first, second, and third Unitarian churches there, also at Evanston and a few other churches. And as I listened to the meditation of the minister and the piano player, outstanding of the piano player, I thought of Martha. She was professor of poetry at Kennedy King College and poet laureate there. And she stood like these two by the side of the road to teach people that poems was an art form. It helped people love one another, much the same way he's a minister to love people, and she plays and teaches the piano to love people. And Martha was a dear friend like that. Thank you.
Want to light a candle for my friend Chantal, who's a member of the Bernardston Church and had a car accident, and she's in recovery from that. So we think of her.
I found the comment this morning about the bird singing to the dawn, having no reason. And it made me think of the dawn itself. And it's arising every day, having no reason.
Yeah.
And I was recently reading a book called Wonder, and the author talked about Einstein describing that point beyond which his reasoning could not reach. And he called it entering the mind of God.
Mm.
And I just feel like I felt that this morning in the service.
Andrew, anybody else care to share a joy or a concern?
I think we need to say a prayer and pause for the people in Turkey with the earthquake, and also one final candle for all those who don't have a community, trapped in some domestic violence situation or trapped in a situation they cannot escape. And we all can kind of take communities for granted, most of us, and come and go as we please and whatever level of connections we have. But let's remember the people who don't even have an option like this, a free and tolerant place for them to be. So we think about them.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you to light a candle of just concern. My parents have died. I've now got just two sisters in my life. Thankfully, one I'm very close with, and the other is strangely incommunicative. And it troubles and saddens me that for whatever reason, that's where she's at, but I hope something will help that shift. And the candle of joy is that you reminded me, Steve, of a friend of mine who I used to do a program on kindfulness, and he defined kindfulness as being more gentle and less judgmental. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any folks on Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom who might want to share a joy or a concern? Oh, yeah.
There are three of us with raised hands.
I have a concern that Dan is moving to the West Coast and we should forbid him.
Yes, online. We have 11 people online today. And I apologize to them for some of the camera movements because it's our new system. Anyway, Christine asked to light a candle for the life of Eileen Fortin, a dedicated teacher. And again, if anyone's online, please put your joy or concern in the chat. I see none so far.
Okay. Oh, Pam has. You have to stay away from Pam. She always has an agenda. Just wants to make the world a better place and crazy things like that.
So my name is Pam, and I have a joy. She's not here to share it, so I'm speaking in a way, my own joy, but for Molly Chambers. Her daughter Essie is in LA, and her film called Descendants is in the running for the NAACP Awards. And it's out in LA for the award ceremonies. And and Essie is going to be here and is going to show that film at the theater at our local theater. And you have to buy a ticket right away, I understand, but also to the high school. So the high school kids are going to see it. And if you didn't see the Four Rivers Charter School program on equity in Boston on climate change, you should really come and see it because it is moving. It's very moving.
Thank you, Pam.
That's my kind of agenda.
There we go. Let us open our minds and hearts to the place of quiet in conclusion to these joys and concerns, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. I understand it is a tradition to sing the Prayer to Friends song, which is in all of your hymnals. at this time, and we will keep that tradition. It's also a joy for me to be here, by the way. Thanks for bringing me here. Stephen Schick, who's a close friend of mine and my mentor, wrote a poem called The Sacred Place. You can join me if you want. This place has been waiting for us to gather our dreams of justice and peace. This place has been waiting for us to honor it by opening our hearts and speaking our minds. This place has been waiting for us to fill it with compassion and loving kindness. This place has been waiting for us to draw from it a breath of common purpose. This place has been waiting for us to listen to the wisdom of its silence. This place has been waiting for us to fill it with the urgency of new possibilities. This place has been waiting for us to make it sacred by our coming together. For our benediction, the Buddha says, "Be ye lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence. Hold to the truth within yourselves as to the only lamp." I say, be patient and achieve all things. Be impatient and you will likely achieve nothing, but you will do so much, much faster. Go in peace. Be peace. Nope. Oh, come on up here.
We do have coffee hour this morning. We've arranged things a little bit differently. Coffee is available back over there. We do have a tea boiler up here because we couldn't plug them both in over there. If you want decaf, make a special decaf coffee, make a special request, and that's it. Yes, Pam. Pam made the brownies this morning. And folks online, I'll be right with you, okay?
There's a little bag for coffee cups.
Thank you for coming.
Nice to see so many people on here this morning. Glad I can't get my video going.
Hi, Gary.
Hi there. I
It's
don't know
Joan.
who that was because I can't see anybody.
It's Joan.
Mine's
Hello.
Ah, hi there.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Joan.
Hi, Molly. It's
Hi,
Joan.
Gary. Hi, Tom. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Good to see you all.
Or not. For some
Or
reason,
not.
my video was disabled the whole time.
Yeah,
Hi,
must be-
Link
Must be something, must be something to do with the new system.
and Joan. Yeah.
It
Yep.
says the host disabled my video, so
Yeah.
I'm not able to.
Really? I'm sorry. I don't see that I disabled.
Yeah,
I
me too.
Dan.
Let me look at that. Let me look at that. It shouldn't have happened.
was one of those things.
So Gary, you say it's disabled?
Yep, same thing.
I am as well. Joan is as well.
Link is too.
This
Yeah.
is a new, let me check the parameters here. Anyway. happy
I chose,
Friday.
I chose not to have video when I entered, so maybe that was why. I don't know if that's why.
Yeah, you have to go down to the lower part of your screen.
Right, it doesn't let us.
It says,
doesn't-
okay, let me go to that.
I know how to do it. I teach via Zoom. It was a. And,
Yeah,
and
I have to go to the preferences. I'll be right back.
sure thing. I'm not too worried about it. I had a noisy 3-year-old with me this morning.
Well, that's good that you had
Company.
children with you. Yes, company. That's wonderful.
Yes.
This is Joan. So Molly, what